So one of the biggest controversies coming out of wrestling this past week is Tony Khan basically coming out and dubbing this Wednesday's match on Dynamite between Kenny Omega and Hijo Vikingo, the AAA Mega Champion, as a dream match. And a lot of people have kind of gotten on him about it, due to the fact that it's to a lot of people, it feels like what's so important about it being a dream match. What's so intriguing about it that puts it in that prestige category. And I've heard a lot of people arguing the fact that, well, if you look on YouTube, you hear what people have had to say who've witnessed Vikingo competing, in AAA and other independents across the world and here in the States. You would understand why this is a special occasion, why this is something that would get people talking for years and years and years to come. Well, maybe not years and years and years to come, but basically get them talking for quite some time at the spectacle of how good this match could be, because of how good Vikingo is and how good potentially that we know Kenny Omega could be. There's also the argument of schedule. Vikingo being the AAA Mega Champion and having other commitments in other promotions across the world and here in the States and in Mexico. This might be the only time, and who knows, how much longer, that they can get Vikingo when he's available. So, there's a lot of I guess you could say back and forth as to why this match is happening. And look, I haven't seen much of Vikingo myself, but from what I have seen, I can understand why people are impressed by this guy. I mean, I've seen him compete for MLW. I've seen him compete in Impact. So I understand the reasoning of why people would be so invested in him going up against basically the best bout machine, the cleaner, in Kenny Omega, one of the best, pro wrestlers in the world today. I can understand the the reasoning for this matchup happening, because it's two of the very best currently, internationally too. And I can also understand the fact that schedule-wise, if you can get an opening, just like any appointment with doctors or dentists or whatever, or job interviews or whatever, that you got to take the opportunity when you get it, or when it opens up to you. And this is an opportunity that Tony Khan wants to take advantage of, because he may not get another opportunity to bring Vikingo in to face Kenny Omega, because no one's really sure what Kenny's status contractually with the company will be after the end of this year. I mean, we know that we know Tony Khan's trying to lock him and the Bucks in for long term, before this year's out, and that's a smart idea, especially if or well, not only know, but believe that if you lose one, if not all three of them, to the competition known as WWE, like you lost Cody, that could be a fatal blow. Not a fatal blow that basically puts you out of business permanently, but a fatal blow enough that it would take years to recover from. So, so I can understand, the reasoning why Tony Khan wants to do this now. It might be the only time for the rest of the year that he gets this opportunity, because Vikingo has all these other commitments across other promotions in the world, stateside, Canada-wise, UK-wise, Japan-wise, if you will, and mostly with AAA. He's probably got a lot of commitments. Basically a lot of commitments that take up a majority of the calendar year. And Kenny, on the other hand, not only has commitments with AEW, as a performer and an EVP, but also as somebody that's, basically helping with the progression of the video game Fight Forever. But he also has commitments as the IWGP US champion. So he's got defenses. He's got to go with that. There are defenses. He's got to work around with that. So, this is probably the only time that they have. And that's understandable. Whether or not it makes sense, whether or not we get video packages leading up to it, like the night of, during the Road to Countdown show and all that. We get something like that to really help emphasize to people that may not know who Vicino is, why this is important, and maybe even historically touch upon the fact that they were supposed to originally face each other in 2021, but Kenny's nagging injuries prevented that from happening. He had to vacate the Mega Championship that he was supposed to defend against Vicino. If they do something like that along the way, to me that'll help out. That'll help out in getting people intrigued and invested and understanding more of, oh, now we get it. Now we understand why people are looking at this as a dream match, right? People are happy that this is happening. Now we get it. Now we get it and all that. So again, from a business standpoint and opportunistic standpoint, I completely understand. I completely get it. But I also understand that some people may look at it like, Tony Khan could have done this at any time, throughout the year. I can also understand people saying, oh, the opportunity, take it when it's open to you, is nothing but an excuse, and he could have done this anytime throughout the year, and that this is just another way to get this is just another ratings ploy on his part to get people to tune in. I can understand that too, and you know what, if it is part of that as well, or basically ironically it is part of that, based on the timing, I can understand that too. I mean, if you want people to tune in, get back into that million number range, if you will, rating wise, viewership wise, I don't blame him. I don't blame him for doing this, because it might, if you're knowing you're going up against WWE in the final 2 weeks leading up to the show of shows when it comes to pro wrestling, whether Tony Khan and anybody in AEW wants to admit it or not, that being WrestleMania, if you're going up against WWE as WWE's leading up to that, then you're going to want to pull out all the stops that you can to get just as much attention on you as there is on them. And if basically announcing this match as a dream match, probably a match that can only happen one time, throughout the year, and ironically it concedes with the fact that, hey, you need to get more people's eyes on your product. I don't blame Tony Khan for doing it, from both perspectives. I don't blame him for doing it as a ratings ploy, and I don't blame him for the fact that he's got to do it when the opportunity is knocking at his door. So, but again, I understand people looking at that perspective of, oh, it's just a ratings ploy and everything, and he could have done it at any time. I understand it. I understand where they're coming from that, side of the tracks. But even if that's true, the timing, I think, couldn't be any better, because I do tend to believe that it does have to do with a whole scheduling conflict kind of deal, like this might be the only opening they have. So take advantage of it while you can. And it also allows Kenny to step back into the ring as a singles competitor. Yes, he was in the ring, recently with a New Japan star on AEW Dark at Universal. And that's great. That's terrific. But, to me, if you really want to get him back at that high level that he can compete at, this might be your only opportunity. And ironically, the timing couldn't be better at the fact that you want to get those ratings back up. And, timing-wise, this is probably the only chance you're going to get from a schedule opportunity. So, I look at it this way. I think it's, I look at it this way. It's a win-win either way for Tony Khan and AEW. I look at it as a win-win for the AEW fans and the hardcore wrestling fans of, wanting to see this match because they were supposed to get it back at Triple Mania back in 2021. Didn't happen due to injuries to Kenny Omega. And now we're getting it. So I can understand, I can understand it's a win-win from them. I can understand it's a win-win for Tony Khan because, here's this opportunity he probably didn't think he was going to get, being presented to him, probably one time only for the whole year. And, he's taking advantage of it. And he's also looking at the fact that, hey, my ratings are not doing so well, but if I put this out there and promote it as a dream match, ratings will go up because people will be invested, and even those that may not be invested will be intrigued as to why we're promoting this as a dream match. So it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win either way. a win from a rating standpoint, possibly, and a win from basically in an opportunistic standpoint as well, when it comes to giving wrestling fans, hardcore and AEW fans or casuals, a match that, based on the hype and maybe even the packages you show of Vikingo, will get their attention and be like, okay, we have to check this out and see if this guy's as good as they say he is. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting edition of Dynamite. There's no doubt about it. But honestly, I think it's a win-win both ways. Whether you look at it as just a ratings ploy, which Tony Khan is pulling out of his rear that he could have done at any time this year, or you're looking at the fact that from a schedule standpoint, it's the only opportunity he has. And it just coincides with the fact that maybe it's going to help ratings at a time where ratings are, a big deal for any wrestling promotion going up against WWE during the final 2 weeks of WrestleMania. Final 2 weeks, going into WrestleMania. So I think it's a win-win either way. But what are your guys' thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments as well as on the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. And until next time, guys, I am out.